I've often asked myself why it feels so good to shave my legs when they've been unshaved for a while, and why I feel like I'm investing in myself when I sit down to repaint my chipped nail polish. It doesn't just feel good, it feels relieving. In this video, I'll try to answer the questions around how modern feminism is driving me and other women to feel like this, mainly based around 3 academic works, as well as exemplifying these with the help of 2 contemporary Swedish brands. How is a consumer society helping in shaping femininity and turning traditional feminine ideals into an object you can become through consumption? Or to put it another way, how has the market turned feminism and gender roles into something exploitable and profitable while making it seem like our choice? To answer these questions, we need to take a look at modern feminism, that is, postfeminism. Rosalind Gill believes that contemporary feminism is often associated with a sexually liberated woman in control of her life and her body. She's a woman with a perfected appearance and an exaggerated focus on her sexual attributes. No one is allowed to tell her what to do with her body or who to please with it. Claire Moran observes a shift in Western culture from the traditional caring and homebound woman to what she calls the fun, fearless female. This is the image of modern femininity: beauty, sexiness, and being empowered. Moran argues that sex and a sexualized pornified culture have become mainstream, making it easy to believe that sexual equality has been achieved and that women and men enjoy the same sexual freedoms. Isn't that what the image of the modern woman with incredible levels of sexual agency proves? Few academics, policymakers, and practitioners contest the fact that there has been a great shift in the presentation of sex and bodies, but there is disagreement around how this shift should be interpreted. Are we seeing the sexual liberation of a mature Western society, or a negative downward spiral in our collective morals? Moran would like us to consider that this shift is indeed positive in the sense that as a society, we are now more pro-sex, but at the same time that modern sexualization is in fact still deeply sexist. The term retrosexism fits well in this context, showing for instance how women are willingly reverting back to old sexist representations of women, such as the femme fatale, a woman marked almost solely by her sexual power over men. Isn't it interesting that, when we talk about a powerful woman, we often mean her sexual power over men, not, say, her power in a company? What makes this digression possible is that postfeminism suggests a certain pastness of feminism, and that women are no longer inferior to men. And this distracts us from the fact that women are still being gawked at as sexual objects, while they're being presented in ways that are appealing and beneficial to men. Gill argues along a similar line. In a world where feminism is a subject of the past, us women can now deal with the fun task of just expressing our femininity freely. In reality, the feminism we have is offering women certain kinds of freedom, empowerment, and choice as a substitute for real feminist politics and transformation. Here I want to make very clear that I'm not criticizing the individual women making these decisions around self-presentation. I'm criticizing the system that makes women believe this is their free choice and pressuring women into feeling this is how they should present themselves. Rosalind Gill suggests that the resurgence of women identifying with hyperfemininity can be traced to post-feminist arguments around supposedly natural differences between the sexes. This argument defends women's apparently natural interest in and need for sexy lingerie, 20 makeup products, and spending hours on their hair, and men's lack of the same interest. No, this has nothing at all to do with learned behaviors. It's natural. Not only that, Gill also argues that keeping women focused on their sexual appeal to men distracts them from the fact that they still don't enjoy the same educational, legal, and employment opportunities as men. And society gets away with it by making us believe that doing our makeup and wearing miniskirts is for ourselves, and as such, also a feminist act. Female empowerment is such an in topic that advertisers in both big and small companies are using it to sell their products by repackaging feminism and selling it back to women, but with feminism completely emptied of its political content. This idea of doing it for oneself, the concept of individualism, is central to postfeminism. It's very convenient that these ideas of choice and empowerment fit perfectly with capitalist consumerism, making us adopt heterosexual and hyperfeminine personalities that lead to us buying everything, plus a little extra, to fit the standards of the liberated Western woman, who is slim, young, beautiful, and who desires sex with men. These messages in popular culture and advertising influence not only men, but also women to prioritize male desires and experiences, all the while ensuring the inflow of money to a system benefiting off of this new feminism. However, Moran tells us that if we say that everyone is responsible for their own lives, that means they're ignoring the very real and very unequal structural opportunities presented to men and women, not to mention non-Western women, non-slim, non-young, non-able-bodied women, and the list goes on. It is not women's responsibility to individually fight these inequalities, but it is very beneficial to a capitalist system to make them believe it is. It makes women feel good to hear messages every single day that they are strong, independent women, and that's why we buy into the idea that getting that Brazilian wax is our free feminist choice, and the only person benefiting off of it is us. In her paper, Moran reveals another interesting finding. Actively challenging sexist perspectives can ironically lead to women feeling worse, because it places them in uncomfortable positions where societal acceptance is undermined. It would be easier to just shave your legs and not think about unfair structures. Not only that, teaching girls to individually combat sexism, which is exactly what we're doing in schools and in homes, means falling for the neoliberal concept of personal responsibility, which redirects our attention from collective systemic change to individual accountability. To further explain postfeminism, Lerner provides us with a metaphor of women's place in society, which asks us to imagine society as a theatre play. On this shared stage, men and women both take part in important roles in a play that can't take place without both genders. Men are the decision makers, meaning that men get the most heroic, interesting parts, leaving women with mainly supporting parts. When women realized this equality, they asked for and received more equal parts in the play, after much fighting, including outperforming males in their parts and standing in for missing male performers. However, men still decide how women qualify for these plays, and men are still the ones who control the script, the stage, the direction, and the interpretation of the play. This means that men punish women through ridicule or exclusion if they assume that they have the right to interpret their own role or rewrite the script. It takes a lot of time for women to understand that getting equal parts in the play is not the same as being equal to men. When they finally do understand this, the play comes to an end. Women have started to write their own scripts, but their socialization or training from men has influenced them to focus on men's actions and desires. Gill says that today, by giving women the potency and power over their own situation, any language that could be used to highlight structural sexism is made invalid. This means we have to understand sexism as something that changes and mutates over time, together with society. Let's elaborate on the free choice narrative that Moran and Gill introduced us to. So we've established that today everything revolves around the post-feminist idea of being oneself and pleasing oneself. But the question Gill asks in her work is, if it really is free choice, why do all women strive to look the same? Why do all women strive to look like versions of each other, with slim bodies, free of hair, tiny waists, and pouty lips? And this is where I want to introduce my first example, the Swedish razor company Estrid. Estrid is well known for its inclusive advertising, with statements like, "Note to self, I'm in charge," side by side with pictures of blissful-looking women with both shaved and unshaved hair. I used to be so happy that there was a company that wasn't forcing itself on me. Then I realized Estrid is riding high on the post-feminist wave of individualism and the fake idea of freedom of choice. While Estrid's inclusive campaigning isn't a problem in itself, it is of course a good thing, the problem lies in the discourse. What Estrid's messages are really saying is, we saw an opportunity to make money off of a modern societal phenomenon, feminism, because we know that there's an incomprehensibly heavy pressure on you to shave. So we expect most of you to buy our products without second thought, because it feels good to you that we're presenting you with choice. But for the rest of you, when the consequences of your unshaved leg, armpit, and pubic hair gets unbearable, we'll be waiting right here for you and your money, but mostly for your money. Societal expectations and gender norms still influence choices, even when explicitly denying it. I'd like to add here that arguing against someone saying that women are doing it for themselves is of course very difficult, because calling it out would mean saying women don't actually make rational individual decisions, and nobody wants to be heard saying that in this time and age. So Moran states that messages that might be understood as sexist are understood as empowering when they're presented as free choice. Another interesting topic that is very much connected to post-feminism is female genital cosmetic surgery. So first of all, we often understand our own liberation and empowerment in relation to non-Western women's lack of this freedom, a freedom defined by us, by the way. Rosalind Gill states that it is comforting to think of our own society as equal, putting the oppressed Muslim woman as the hypersexualized, pornified Western woman's opposite. It is comforting to put the need for feminism onto someone else. Related to this, Virginia Braun, in an article exploring genital surgery, observes that we are very against what we in the West refer to as female genital mutilation. That is, the forceful alteration of female genitalia, generally performed in non-Western countries. And we see it as worlds away from female genital cosmetic surgery. Female genital mutilation is awful, but Braun argues that we should think again if we think that when women in the West seek out cosmetic clinics to get their genitalia surgically altered, it is something completely different, and also somehow the embodiment of Western freedom. Braun criticizes this Western hypocrisy. In the West, women apparently seek these clinics out freely, And when talking about them, we use a language that emphasizes the woman's free choice, her individual agency, her consent in getting this procedure done, and not least, her rational decision making. Before I go further into this, I want to offer a small clarification. Braun describes female genital cosmetic surgery as procedures done for looks, without medical reasons, on anatomically normal genitalia, meant to boost confidence, and to, through this new confidence, enhance sexual pleasure. The problem around genital cosmetic surgery, as argued by Braun, is how choice is presented. Western women are seen as rising above and not being affected by cultural influences, which means that their choice to get their labia trimmed is a well thought through, free, empowered, and authentic choice. On the other hand, any choice a non-Western woman may want to make to undergo traditional genital cutting is seen to be influenced by culture, and therefore choice is impossible. Finally, Braun argues that choice isn't just something we as women are entitled to, but also something we are obligated to. Choosing not to get these procedures done is just as much a choice as getting them done, meaning that the choice of, quote, ugliness has also become our choice, our fault, and our responsibility. Another example Braun gives is how certain circumstances leading to a woman having an unwanted pregnancy means she faces the privileged choice of abortion. Once again, not taking into account the structural issues leading to the woman having the unwanted pregnancy in the first place, like rape, men pressuring women into sex without a condom, or placing the responsibility of contraceptives on women. So, Braun's argument is that what appears to be choice is often just conformity to standards. The choice between conforming and not conforming is not equal, and making the wrong choice will likely carry many unpleasant repercussions. A perfect example of this is the Swedish plastic surgery company Akademikliniken. In its breast surgery campaign, defiant yet cheeky-looking women gaze into the camera accompanied by text like, "Make a change if you feel like it," and my personal favorite, "Be proud of what you were given," or "Become it." Another company riding high on the post-feminist wave, even making something like breast surgery that starts at around €4,000, a feminist, empowered, and authentic decision. Women are being pressured into putting so much time, energy, emotions, and money into decisions like this. In this case, €4,000 men could be spending on, I don't know, stocks, their pensions. So yes, a very free choice. The market markets and sells stuff, but somehow we are the ones who are responsible not to buy it. I would like to wrap up by highlighting that it isn't fair to put the responsibility of a whole failed system on individual women and their decisions, especially by blaming them for their choices. That would be, as we've seen, falling for post-feminist ideas of individualism. It's not our responsibility or our fault, it's the system's. Moran believes that instead of just developing the language for individual critique of the system, we need to create spaces where collective action can take place. Because we all make up the system, so we can change it through joint measures.